People don't realize this, but the reason they're still broke has nothing to do with how hard they work, nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with luck. It's something far more dangerous because it's invisible. It's a script running in your mind every single day. And the worst part, you didn't write it, yet it controls how much money you make, how much you keep, what you think you deserve, and even what you believe is possible for your life. That's why two people can have the same opportunity, same environment, same resources, and end up in completely different financial realities. One builds wealth, the other stays stuck, not because of skill, but because of psychology. And until you understand this, you'll keep repeating the same financial patterns over and over again. 1. The script you never chose. Every financial decision you make starts long before the money shows up. It starts with belief. Think about the phrases you heard growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. Be grateful for what you have. We can't afford that. Those weren't just words, they were programming. And over time, they became your default thinking. So now, even as an adult, you're not making decisions freely. You're reacting to a script that was written years ago. Some people develop what I call a money avoidance mindset. They think money is bad, so they unconsciously push it away. They undercharge. They stay small. They sabotage growth. Others become obsessed. They believe money will fix everything, so they chase it endlessly, but never feel satisfied. Then there are those who tie their worth to what they own. They don't build wealth. They perform it. And the most deceptive one? The person who saves everything, but still feels insecure. Different behaviors, same root problem, a broken script. And here's the truth. You can't build wealth with a mind that rejects it. 2. The invisible ceiling. Even if you fix your habits, even if you increase your income, there's something else that will stop you, your identity, because your income will always rise or fall to match how you see yourself. Think of it like a thermostat. If you see yourself as a $50,000 person, you might temporarily make $100,000, but something will happen. You'll overspend. You'll make bad decisions. You'll self-sabotage, and you'll end up right back where you started. Not because you're incapable, but because your identity pulls you back. This is why people win the lottery and lose everything. Why entrepreneurs have one good year, then disappear. Why you might be working harder than ever, but still feel stuck. Because deep down, you haven't changed who you believe you are. And until that changes, nothing else will. 3. The consumption trap. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Most people were trained to consume, not to build. From a young age, you're taught to buy, to upgrade, to spend. But almost nobody teaches you this. There are only two things you can do with money. You can buy things that make you poorer or things that make you richer. Assets and liabilities. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. Simple. But look at how most people live. And they buy cars that lose value, houses that cost more than they return, things that look good, but don't produce anything. And then they wonder why they're stuck. Meanwhile, wealthy people play a different game. They ask one question: will this pay me back? If the answer is no, they think twice, because they understand something most people ignore. Money is either working for you or you're working for money. 4. Scarcity versus abundance. Now let's talk about the mindset that quietly destroys opportunity. Scarcity. It sounds harmless, but it changes how your brain functions. When you believe there's not enough, you stop thinking long-term. You make smaller decisions, safer decisions, fear-based decisions. You hold back, you hesitate, you avoid risk. And in doing so, you miss the very opportunities that could change your life. Because wealth doesn't come from playing safe, it comes from calculated risk. Scarcity says, protect what you have. Abundance says, create more. And that shift changes everything. Because when you start asking, how can I create more? Instead of, how do I avoid losing? You start thinking differently, acting differently, and eventually, earning differently. 5. The fear of loss. Here's something most people don't realize. Losing hurts more than winning feels good, and your brain is wired that way. That's why people stay in bad jobs, avoid investing, hold on to failing decisions, fear taking action. Because the idea of losing feels unbearable. But here's the paradox. Trying to avoid loss is what keeps you from winning. Because every level of wealth requires risk, not reckless risk, calculated risk. And once you understand this, you stop seeing losses as failure. You start seeing them as tuition, lessons you pay for, that make you sharper, stronger, more capable, and eventually more successful. 6. Hit the time trap. Now we get to the final piece, the one that quietly limits almost everyone. Time. Most people try to save money, but waste time. Wealthy people do the opposite because they understand money can be multiplied, time cannot. So instead of doing everything themselves, they delegate, they hire, they automate, not because they're lazy, but because they're focused. They spend their time on high-value work and remove everything else. Meanwhile, most people stay busy, but never move forward because they're stuck doing $10 tasks while dreaming of $10,000 outcomes. And it doesn't work that way. So if you feel stuck financially, it's not random. It's a pattern built from your beliefs, your identity, your decisions, and your habits. But here's the good news. Patterns can be broken, not by working harder, but by thinking differently. Because once you change the way you see money, you change the way you interact with it. And once that changes, everything else follows. So don't just ask, how do I make more money? Ask, what part of me is still thinking like someone who doesn't have it? Because that is where the real transformation begins. Most people think money problems are external. Not enough income, not enough opportunities, bad economy. But that's not where the real problem lives. Or it's internal. Because before money ever shows up in your bank account, it's already been decided in your mind. There's something running in the background. A script. You didn't write it. You didn't choose it. But it controls everything. The way you earn, the way you spend, the way you feel about money, all of it traces back to a belief system you absorbed years ago. Some people were taught that money is bad, so they sabotage success without realizing it. They get close, then pull back. They feel guilty for wanting more. Others believe money will fix everything, so they chase endlessly. More, more, more. But no amount ever feels like enough. Then there are those who tie their value to what they own. They don't build wealth. They perform it, spending to be seen, competing to feel worthy, and the most dangerous one, in the people who save everything, but never feel secure. Different patterns, same outcome, stuck. Because here's the truth most people never hear. Your income will always follow your identity, not your effort, not your potential, your identity. If you see yourself as someone who struggles, you will find ways to keep struggling. Even when opportunities show up, you'll hesitate, you'll overthink, you'll self-sabotage, and then you'll call it bad luck. But it's not luck. It's conditioning. Now layer something else on top of that. Scarcity. The belief that there's not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough room for you to win. And once that belief sets in, your brain shifts. You stop thinking long-term. You stop taking smart risks. You start protecting instead of creating. And that's where people get trapped. Because wealth isn't built by playing defense. It's built by calculated offense. But your brain fights you hard because losing feels worse than winning feels good. So you avoid risk. You stay in situations that drain you. You hold on to things that no longer serve you. Not because it's logical, but because it feels safe. And then comes the final trap. The one almost nobody escapes. Trading time for money, trying to save every dollar, while wasting the one thing that actually matters. Time. Wealthy people understand something most people ignore. Money can be multiplied. Time cannot. So they buy back their time. They delegate. They invest. They focus only on what moves the needle, while everyone else stays busy, but never moves forward. And so the real question isn't, how do I make more money? The real question is, what beliefs are quietly keeping me from ever having it? Because once you change that, everything else follows.